Dumelang, welcome to my channel, Botswana Thinking Law, where I bring you and the law closer. Today in this video, we're going to be dealing with our part 2 on prescription, where we are talking about extinctive prescription. But before we get started in this video, I'd like to put in a disclaimer. This is not legal advice. This is simply a sharing of general information. If you have a problem of a legal nature, please engage the services of an attorney. Now back to our video. Extinctive prescription means the time or period that a person has to bring a matter before the courts before that matter is said to be expired. And this is in terms of the Prescriptions Act. And I'm just using the word expired here so that people can understand. That's not what the Act says. The Act simply says these are the periods that a person has to bring their matter before the courts before they are unable to exercise the rights in relation to that matter. So expired. There are various periods given for prescription of a matter, and these periods depend on the type of matter. So there are matters that are given 1 year to be brought before the courts before that matter expires. Those matters include defamation, and you will have to watch my video where I deal with defamation to understand what a person needs to prove in order to say they have been defamed and what a person has to prove in order to defend against an action for defamation. Another thing that has to be brought within 1 year is where a person is asking for a contract to be set aside and for people to be put to the position they were before that contract came into existence. An example, if I enter into a contract with someone for the person to supply me with goats, and I pay this person, after I've paid them, all I hear are excuses. No, they have died. No, I don't have a truck. No, this, that, this. I can then say to the person, okay, give me back my money. If they refuse, I can then go to court and I can say to the court, please set aside this contract between myself and this person and that we be restored to the position we were before this contract came into existence. And that would be me being paid back my money. However, it must be noted that there are other periods given in this act in relation to contracts. And this must be viewed in light of the fact that the very Prescriptions Act says if 2 periods are given in relation to the same matter, then the period that applies will be the longer of the 2. The other thing that has to be brought to court within a year of them happening is instances where I am asking for a reduction in the purchase price for something that I bought. For example, if I buy a cell phone and when I use it, I find out that the camera is not working. And I bought this cell phone for 1,500 pula. And I say to the person I bought it from, look, the camera doesn't work, but I will still want the cell phone. So give me 500 pula back as a reduction of the price. If this person refuses, I can then go to court and ask for this reduction of the purchase price, meaning this person has to pay me back 500 pula. If I intend to go to court for that, then I have to bring the matter within 1 year of finding that that camera is not working. The other period that is dealt with in this act is 3 years. And 3 years for a person to bring a matter is in relation to where it is an oral contract, where a person is asking for payment for services rendered, where a person is asking for payment for goods supplied, and so on and so forth. you will have to look at the Act to see what other instances these 3 years applies to. Another period that is set out is 6 years. And this 6 years is on written contracts, among others. And this means that if a contract is written between the parties and you want to sue someone on the strength of that contract, then you have 6 years within which to bring this matter. And when it comes to judgments of the court, especially for those for payment of money, then the prescription period is 30 years. This 30 years also applies in relation to mortgage bonds. Now a person can say, but Bonolo, if I'm driving my car and someone hits my car and drives off, then does it mean from that point in time this period starts running? I still need time to go and find this person. No, prescription does not start running in that instance when you don't know who this person you want to sue is. So in terms of this act, it does say if you need to go and find this person to see who they are in order to sue them, then this period does not start running. It only starts running at the time you know who this person is. But in any other instance, as soon as the thing happens, if the person fails to pay you and you were renting your property to them, or you've hired someone to come and sweep your yard or clean the yard and so on, and you say to them, no, you can come once a week, I will pay you 600 at the end of the month. At the end of the month, this person doesn't pay you, that's when this period starts running. So it all depends on the circumstances of each case. In addition to this, there are 2 instances that are worth noting. There are instances where prescription can be interrupted. And interrupted here means that it will start afresh from start, or it can be suspended. In order for prescription to be interrupted, there are certain specific instances for it to be said to have happened. Prescription can be interrupted where the person acknowledges the debt. And in acknowledging the debt, it can be done by payment, even part payment of that debt. For example, if someone owes me 50,000 pula and it's 2.5 years, this agreement was not in writing, and I see them somewhere at the shop and I say, hey, you owe me some money, and this person says, no, here's 50 pula towards the debt, then that period starts from the beginning. As soon as they give me that 50 pula and say, here's payment for the debt, then it starts from zero. That 2.5 years is not counted. And it can be interrupted if the person either says it in a writing or by words to say, hey, yes, I do know that I owe you, I'm trying to look for money, and so on. And in these modern days, I know people that send messages and say, yes, I admit I owe you, please forgive me, and so on. When that happens, prescription is interrupted, meaning it starts from zero. The other thing that interrupts prescription is if you serve this person with court papers. Please make sure you read the Prescriptions Act to appreciate and understand other instances where prescription applies. Because like I have said many times, when it comes to court and the law, time periods are very important. As I said earlier, there are instances when prescription can be suspended. Suspended is where it is frozen, right? So, one of those instances is where the creditor is disabled. And the creditor here, we mean the person who is supposed to be suing, who is owed money or some sort of right. Disability here, we mean when they are personally injured or they suffer from some mental disability, or if they are considered to be a prodigal or insolvent. And please watch my video where I talk about legal personality of natural persons and juristic persons, including companies, partnerships, societies, trusts, and so on, to have a full appreciation of what I mean when I say disability. I'm not just talking about physical disability. The period will start running once this disability no longer exists. But it is also viewed on a circumstance by circumstance basis, because there are instances where maybe if the person is just declared insolvent or they're said to be a prodigal, then someone can step into their shoes and sue on their behalf. The other instance where prescription is suspended is acts of God or vis major. And the typical and perfect example is COVID-19, right? But specifically instances of lockdown, because during lockdown you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't file court papers, and so on and so forth. If that is the situation, then prescription will be suspended. So let's take an example where maybe 1 year has passed. And after 1 year has passed, people then get into lockdown. For that period of lockdown, prescription does not run. It will resume again after the lockdown is uplifted, because then you can move around, file your court papers, serve, and so on. And in that instance, it will carry on from the 1 year that it had stopped at. It will not start from the beginning like when it is interrupted. Another instance where prescription is suspended is where the person you want to sue or the person who owes you and so on is outside of Botswana for a period of 6 months or more. In that instance, prescription is suspended and it will start running again when this person comes back. But you will know from my video where I talk about different types of service that you can serve a person who is outside of Botswana by edictal citation. If you have gotten anything of use from this video, even if it's enjoyment, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And make sure you ring the notification bell so that every time I put up a new video, you get notified. Make sure to follow me on my social media, on Facebook and Twitter, where I share legal snippets almost on a daily basis. Thank you for joining me. I will see you in my next video. Bye!